विफत नाई जाने नवोइनो सातमक आसते मजीलो चिता सुअपाए न करिनु आशा सुअपाए न करिनु नरोत्तम दासे कोय देखे सुनि लागे भाई करैया रो निज पात करैया रो निज पात Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, hey Vaishnava Thakur, hey Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur, hey Vaishnava Thakur, oh hey Vaishnava Thakur, hey Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur, hey Vaishnava Jai Guru Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Guru Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Govinda Govinda. So Vaishnava simply means one who is a worshipper of the Lord. That is Vaishnava. In the general sense, it is not like an ism. Somebody is this religion, that religion. All religions are one. It's a search for the Lord, search for reality, and it's search for beauty, sweetness, and charm. Our home. This is the portion. I have a request. Can you put down many mats? Because I think somebody may come and they might like to sit on a mat. This floor, carpet is nice, but for many of us it's cold.
Yeah.
It's cold on the floor. Hare Krishna. Somebody may be a millionaire. Maybe you are a millionaire. Somebody may be a millionaire, but they have so much suffering in the world. Somebody may be a millionaire and they could have so much nice food, but because of sickness or something, they can't take this, they have to take plain food. All kinds of things. So what is wealth in the Vedic time means when people were leading like a righteous life. not exploiting rampantly, but trying to live in peace with the environment. In the Vedic time, the measure of wealth was joy, anandam, satisfaction. And so in this world we get flickering joy, not lasting joy. It is, and we can say, oh, and by the way, this was a difficult point when I first came to think of, because we didn't think we are suffering too much, and we're thinking, oh, the world is quite a joyful place. But the thing is, at the moment, we may be healthy, we're happy, so many things are happening. But it is like a shallow joy, and it is temporary. Because a few months ago, you and I, all of us, we were little babies. And a few weeks before that, we were in our mother's womb. And in a few months' time, we're all going to be going down to the burning ghat. And so birth and death are inevitable in this world of the body, the meat and bones, the butcher shop body. Birth and death are inevitable. But that doesn't mean that there is not the life which continues after the body. And what is death is that the living entity has left the body. So where has that living entity gone? So any joy we get in the life in this world, by exploitation we get into debt, we have to repay. But by dedication we get some credit, if you like. You've heard of karma? Good karma? Bad karma? Do you want to do good karma or do you want to do bad karma? Good. Okay, then you've come to the right place. Because not only good karma, but we want to do the best. If there is good, there is better, there is best, there is more best. So it is this kind of journey to look upwards instead of downwards. We can get enjoyment by doing many things which we know would be wrong, by going and stealing and doing many things. And if you get in the wrong crowd, that's what happens. But it's reactionary. Sometimes the reaction is soon, sometimes it's later. But there's a different kind of joy in giving rather than in taking. And as you mentioned, touched on a little bit before, there is the land where everybody is giving. And giving to whom? Giving to the Lord. Finding out who He is, where He is. Hare Krishna! Welcome, welcome. After a few months, we've come back to meet you again. Jai. So the Vaishnavas are those who are coming selflessly, for doing selfless activity for the Lord and for others who are also striving on that path. Good improvement. Sorry, last time I was here, they were struggling with curtains to open and close. But the curtains don't quite meet in the middle, do they? A little gap. I was here last time, maybe in, I do not know, September or something last year, maybe. And they've made some improvements, develop everywhere. Everyone's trying to improve their home and develop a little bit. And they made this look nice curtains. Okay, so let us chant a little bit. So, mantra and meditation. So we can meditate on things we see, meditate on things we think about, but we can meditate on sound vibration. And with sound, many things can be carried. And if you were to say that 200 years ago, people won't understand. How can things be carried on sound waves? But now we have radio. We have pictures, television. And it's coming on waves. It's being carried on waves. And so the mantra means freeing the mind. And within different mantras, you can have different content. Just like you can have different content on your TV channel. Obviously, you can see that. So the content of mantra meditation is that we will free our mind of our mundane bodily idea and try to put our mind happily into the living consciousness. And that is who we are. We are the living entity in the meat and bones. So we are the living entity within there, and our home is not amongst the dead, the unconscious. Our home is in the conscious world. So we are going to chant very simply some things you can hear and repeat, and everybody else knows about Nitai, Gauranga, Hari, Bol, and Nitai and Gauranga. Some words you try to hear and repeat, and then we will chant for a short time, and then we can also hear some question from you. These are our guests who've come from some advertising on Facebook or somewhere, is it? Event. Right. Okay, I don't know. I don't know about the social media, but some place where events are there. And so we've come together to share some good things with you. All right. So on the sound vibration, so we hear and we just happily stay in the sound vibration, and what will be, will be. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Not in me. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga Jaya. Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga Gaura Hari. Nitai Gauranga Jaya Gaura Hari. Nitai Gauranga Jaya Gaura Hari. Gaura Hari, Gaura Hari. Gaura Hari Jaya Gaura Hari. Nitai Gauranga Jaya Gaura Hari. Nitai Gauranga Jaya Gaura Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Premanandi, Hari Hari. And where our temple is in Navadip, any time, 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, any time, day and night. If you go and you listen, somewhere somebody is chanting like we are chanting bhajan. And this is very traditional. These from Bengal, the drum called mridanga from Bengal. And always you can hear some chanting. There it is very normal. Here we are in London. People think, oh, this is very much minority. But some places in the world, it is the majority. And who is not chanting, who is not engaging in bhajan, minority. And even they have respect, but they're doing their business and all these things like that. But so many people, Navadip, Vrindavan, Govardhan, Jayapur with Govindaji, and Damodar Prabhu was there. Devananda Prabhu was there just now also. Means just now, a few months ago. I knew Devananda Prabhu from 1985 from India. And then he went on his first pilgrimage since 1985, this year. And we saw some video. And really, I was impressed by, I saw him in Guru Maharaj's veranda giving obeisances, with full heart, after so long, where we received our connection with Guru Maharaj. And then I was feeling, okay, yes, I am on the veranda, I am giving my obeisances, and we are here in Guru Maharaj's veranda in Navadip. So there are some beautiful places in this world also, where really people are chanting, where the kirtan is going on, where they're reading from the scripture, and where there's that mood of dedication, helping others, participating towards a central theme. So we are happy to share that with you. Hare Krishna. They all know something.
Hare Krishna.
You know something?
A little bit.
A little bit. No, I'm asking because we're meeting.
Yeah.
And you know something about Krishna? Have you read anything? Or
Yeah, I already read something.
You've read something, okay. And the Bhagavad Gita?
Bhagavad Gita, yeah.
Okay.
It's one of what I read.
And have you heard of Bhagavad Gita, the book? No. In the West, everyone's heard of the Bible. I mean, it's the Bible, the Quran, these are very famous all over the world. But the Bhagavad Gita is a book in Sanskrit. And it's a book, there are many books about God, in some way or another. But this Bhagavad Gita, it's the song. Bhagavan means God, means the Lord. And Gita means a song. And it's a small book, it's not very big. But it's the content. When I first read Bhagavad Gita, then when I was looking and reading through, I was saying, yes, like giving it your heart, is saying, yes, it's true. About karma, you were saying, yes, karma, we know bad karma, good karma. But then about so many things, beginning with, we are not our body. We are the resident of the body. And so we shouldn't just look after our body with nice hairstyle and nice everything else, but we should look after who's in the body, which is the living entity that has willing, feeling, thinking. That's the difference between, mud and life. And also that's the difference, you see, from mud comes vegetables. And you have to have life to have vegetables. They're also coming from a seed. They're also struggling to grow up, to get oxygen, to get nourishment, and then they're growing and giving fruit. So life is everywhere, but we are not the body. And then the example in Bhagavad Gita is given that as we come from being a baby to being a child to being youth, then growing older, we are changing bodies even in this lifetime. And when this body becomes, when you cannot live in it anymore, this happens, something's going to happen. And at some point, the mechanic tells you about your Toyota motor car, sorry, we can't fix it anymore, you have to get a new car, you can't drive it anymore. So similarly, the mechanic of the body, the doctor, one day we're going to say, sorry, we can't fix it anymore, you've got to go to the hospice, right? Hospice is where the doctors have said, no, can't fix your car anymore, you're going to have to get ready to leave your body. But the person who's got some good fortune will have direction, how to leave the body, where are we going, what is the journey, not just like the animal always trying to live, but he doesn't know what happens when he leaves his body. But we need to be a little awake to the fact that very good thinkers have come before us who have invented all sorts of things, but very good thinkers have come before us who have presented us the science of consciousness and where we are, what is the best consciousness to aspire for, love, beauty, sweetness, charm, all these things. And they have given us guidebooks, they've given us so much, and Bhagavad Gita is where we're being given this science, this guidance from the Lord himself, Bhagavad Gita. So many books about the Lord, about meditation and yoga, but how about the book by the Lord? Like the handbook, when you buy your Toyota motor car, you'll get a handbook that says, this is the accelerator, this is the brake. Okay, it'll say a bit more than that maybe, but it'll tell you how to use your car. So they made it, they know how to use it. So also we have a creator, and the Lord knows how we should use it, and he wants us to use it properly. You want your children to be good or bad? Are they good or bad? Sometimes good and sometimes bad. But everybody, if they care for somebody, they want them to be good. And also the Lord wants us to be good too. So we should try to get the good tips, learn from him, and try to be good children. Because we are also children. And how do you guide children? Not by force, but by, as Gurudev said, you cannot pressure children if you want them to be good. You have to adjust them with love and affection. You pressure, then reaction can come back. That's the nature of the world too. You push, every action is the equal and opposite reaction. If we are gentle with the environment will be gentle back. So with love and affection, Krishna is giving instruction about his land, about one who becomes his devotee and leaves aside material hankering, thinking that I'll be successful in this material world, which is almost like a dream. Whatever we've done previous today, you can think back to some holidays or whatever it is. It's like a dream, it's gone by. We were there at the moment, but then it's like a dream. And in the future, also we may think, oh, I'll get a, Ferrari motor car, Porsche. I'm going to earn up and get a Porsche. We saw yesterday the Porsche dealership. All these Porsche motor cars. And you have to have a little thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have a Porsche motor car? But that's a dream for most people, to get a Porsche motor car. But even if you get a Porsche, it's still only temporary matter. It's all just temporary. So the child may want this plastic toy, that plastic toy. The grown-up may want this motor car, that motor car. But it's all like dreaming for the future. So everywhere we are advised to use our present time in order to search for reality, the beautiful, and to follow good tips on how to do that. And this book, Bhagavad Gita, is small, but it is really talking to our heart about things, many things we already know, but nobody pointed out to us. And so, with some good guidance, we can come from basically not knowing who we are, where we are, what's the purpose of life. With good guidance, we can come to know where we are, know what is the destination, and know how to go. When you came here, you had a map? No, now it's all on the GPS, isn't it? Okay. But you have to know where you are. You have to know where you are going to go. And then the only other thing is you need to know how to go. But if we don't even know where we are, we don't know what's the destination, then how are we going to go there? Just get in your car and drive anywhere? You could end up, anywhere. And what's the point of anywhere? We want to have a destination. So Bhagavad Gita is a small book and giving us the promise of Braja, Goloka, Vrindavan, the land of beauty, sweetness, charm. Do you do yoga? Have you done yoga? So you've heard the expression Sat Chit Ananda? Sat Chit Ananda, maybe? No? It is? No, okay. But it is quite common in the yoga section there, searching, the meditation on meditating on eternity, on consciousness, awake, being awake, not, no, I'm going to go to sleep, but I want to wake up. And what is the satisfaction of consciousness? It is joy. If you're going to be conscious, which is a good idea, then what is the nourishment of consciousness is joy. But there is special joy, heart joy. It's called anandam in Sanskrit. And it's a very sweet word. Anandam. And there is great joy. Maha anandam also. Many things are there. Aha. Hare Krishna. Govinda Govinda. Anyway, I'm chatting away. They're all smart, these guys. Would you like to ask them a question? You've got the younger lady section. You've got no older ladies here. Nobody over 30 is here. And behind you, not over 30?
No.
We've got the older gentleman section in the side. We can say gentlemen are older, but we can't say that about ladies. Would you like to ask them a question?
What brings you joy?
Good question.
Very good question.
Sachi.
Me? Pardon? No, it's not you. Oh, no, no, you, please. What we have learned in this process, what Maharaj is explaining.
Little louder so we can,
Okay.
so we old section can hear you also. Yes.
What we have learned in this process of cultivating a relationship with the Lord, right, who we call Krishna, that in that gradual process of getting, actually making the shift from being a selfish person who is looking outside for happiness, like this, what Maharaj said, this car, or this house, or this relationship even, or this devices, or this circumstances to make me happy. We see, Maharaj explained, that's all very temporary. They come and go. We see that, right? And we see also there's a lot of, say, challenges in our life and sadness also, and by not getting things. So the learned sadhus and the scriptures and the gurus you see here, they and the Lord Himself has taught us there is another path. You don't have to suffer. You want joy, you want real joy, everlasting, then you go inside. Maharaj called it consciousness. You go inside in your consciousness and be aware, awake of what am I thinking, what am I doing, what am I feeling. And this is the process what the sadhus are telling us about and the knowledge is telling us about. Like, refine yourself. That's the most interesting, adventurous, glorious path that any living entity can be on. And that starts with, yes, I have suffered already so much, I've seen the world, there's a lot of chaos in the world, there's a lot of unhappiness in the world. And why is that? And we also learn that's because we have been rebellious towards God. We don't want to acknowledge Him. We don't want to obey His laws, actually. We want to be God ourselves. On the internet we see so many mindfulness and help groups, and it's all about you are God, we all want. But actually that is a partial truth. in one way, there is one and difference. In one way we are one, but there's also that God is the loving Lord. We are a particle of Him, who is Krishna. And by becoming conscious of our life, like being good, being wonderful, being of service, being of loving our environment, every moment actually, then we can become happy, that we become aware. The Lord is looking at us. He is in every breath and in every thought of all of us. And now to harmonize and how to adjust and with all the circumstances in our life that coming, that there are 4 things actually that we learn in this process. Becoming very humble with our karma, with our situation, with our environment. Becoming very tolerant, the intolerable, Gurudev says, like becoming tolerant, letting that ego go, letting that anger go. Give all respects to your environment, to the others, and don't expect any respect for yourself. You understand what the teachings?
Yeah.
So these are very fine jewels in our life, how to become a better person, and what is your question? How to become really happy. And then we see our happiness is not dependent on that other person who has to make me happy, or other devices or things to make me happy, or other circumstances to make me happy. Then we can make our life, at every step we know what to do, how to serve, how to love, how to be of any help in our environment, getting rid of that selfishness, and then we become really happy. That's my humble explanation. I know for sure there are better ones. So,
Thank you.
In the car coming here, Devashish Prabhu was commenting about happiness and the personality of happiness. So this is Devashish Prabhu, and he's the head of, the president of the London chapter of our Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, and he's driven me here today. So Devashish Prabhu, maybe the question was, what makes you happy? And then today we were discussing that point about the personality. Happiness is not an object.
We were indeed, yes. We are remembering our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj. He said, everybody wants to be happy, but how can you be happy if you ignore happiness himself? But happiness is a person, not a thing that you can attain. And that is Krishna. Akilar Samrita Murti. In the Sanskrit language, another word for happiness is actually more than happiness, it's called rasa. And our Guru Maharaj said, everyone is searching after rasa. It means that thing. Rasa means many things. Rasa means like juice or nectar or the essential part of a thing. So you can say rasa means love, satisfaction, happiness, attainment, all of these things. And every one of us is searching for that. Everyone, from the richest to the poorest, from the most humble to the most famous, exalted personalities. No one can say that they don't want happiness. They don't want fulfillment. And that we call that rasa. So Guru Maharaj said, everybody's searching after rasa. The thing is that we don't know where to look for it. We're looking here, we're looking there. We're thinking that, if I get... Actually, we're kind of conditioned to think from our very childhood, by society, by our parents, by our teachers, by all of the, politicians, everything, that happiness equals wealth and independence. That's what will make you happy in life. So, like the so-called success. But it's actually a lie. It's not true at all, because we know practically that very wealthy people, very independent people can be miserable. Where there's so many stories of people, like winning the lottery and it ruined their life. Isn't it? We know that, right? What's that? That actor, comedian,
Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey, yes. You see, he's thinking the same as me. Well, he knows me, you see, so he knows this is my thought process. But yeah, that Jim Carrey, he's like a successful person, right? Everyone's heard of him, everyone's like seen his films, everything, But he said, I wish that everyone could get everything that they desired, so that they could understand that that's not it. That's not what's going to give you fulfillment. And he's speaking from his own experience. He's famous, he's rich, he's got everything that he could desire in life, but he's still saying that's not given me real fulfillment, real happiness. Because real fulfillment must be something that's within us, that just needs to be awakened within us. It's not something that you can get from the external world. Because by nature, we're spiritual beings. And so nothing of this material world can give satisfaction to our spirit. I mean, it's an old, like maybe a cliche, or a really overused example, but but it's like taking a fish out of the water and thinking that you can make it happy by giving it all, a colour television and a car and a date with a supermodel and or whatever it might be. But the fish isn't going to be happy until you put it back in the water, which is its natural environment. So similarly, because we are by nature spiritual, we can't be happy with anything material. We can only be happy when we find our spiritual home, our spiritual awakenment, if you like. So, then everybody's thinking, oh, if I find that perfect person, that completes me. That's what people say, isn't it? You complete me. And I complete you. That. But that's also fraught with difficulty. Because first of all, it's almost an unattainable ideal. Everybody thinking, my soulmate's out there somewhere, I've just got to find that person, But generally we end up having to just compromise, isn't it? Just like to settle. Yeah, when we first met each other, we thought everything was wonderful, and now I see that he never puts the toilet lid down. Always leaves the cap off the toothpaste, and he makes that awful chomping noise when he eats. I can't stand him anymore. So we see that all the time. So, but some people say, oh well, just settle for that. But maybe there are those who find that like ideal person that complements them completely. And that's a great thing. Good. Kudos. Let's more power to them. But even that, if you find that perfect person, sooner or later you're going to be separated by death. That's the hard fact of it all. And that means, that everything in this world is temporary. That you won't be able to find any perfect situation in this world. Maharaj was mentioning that earlier, that we're actually visitors. We're visitors to this world. It's not our home. Once when I was in, just a few years ago, I was in the Ukraine. And we have before the war and everything, we had a regular yearly festival there called Veda Life. And there's all kinds of things going on there, but mainly the the object of it was to present spiritual culture. And really it was very successful. Every day, 10 to 20,000 people coming there every day. And we would have lectures, and there was many things. There were yoga demonstrations, there was, all kinds of food stalls and, music and so many things. But the main purpose of it all was to be able to give an expression of spiritual culture, Krishna culture. So I was there, Maharaj was there, and why was I telling you that? So I've got such a happiness, yeah, but what was the point I wanted to make?
Inner fulfillment.
Oh no, one lady, she asked me, there's so many terrible things going on in the world. If there's a God, why doesn't he just put it all right? Why does he allow that to happen? And my reply to her was that if he thought that he needed to put it right, he would have put it right. But there is a reason why there's so much trouble in this material world. And really that's it, what we can say, right? That, there's an old jazz standard song that says, only three things for sure: taxes, death, and trouble. And and that's true. We all know that. We can all say yes, definitely that's true. But the reason why does God allow that? That's a question, a fundamental question people ask. If there's a God, why does he allow so much suffering in the world? And also even more than that, why do so many terrible things go on in his name? But the reason why that happens is so that we won't think that this world is our home. We won't think, oh yeah, this is a place where we can find happiness. I'm quite happy to just stick it out, stay here, No need to endeavor for anything else. No, those things are there to show us that life without a connection with our spiritual origin, we need to connect with our spiritual origin, then we won't be able to find real happiness, real fulfillment. There's always going to be trouble. There's always going to be something happening in the environment beyond our control that we find terrible. You just switch on the television, on the news station, and we just some new thing to scare everybody to death, to make us worried, stop us sleeping at night, all these things. You don't get much in the news saying, something really good happened today, something really happy. It's always like some terrible disaster, some war, some, famines. Everything is just like horrible, right? This material world. But this is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is Lord Krishna's song. Bhagavat means God, and Gita means song. So Bhagavad Gita literally means the song of God. So this is the conversation, the holy conversation between Krishna and his friend devotee Arjuna. And the central message of this is, you can't change your environment, you can only change yourself. So amongst all the other philosophy and spiritual thought that's given there, this is the central theme, that we can't change the world. People say, when I was young, I thought that I would be able to change the world. But now I'm older, I realize I can only change myself. So that's really the case. I saw a cartoon, some politician or someone standing at a lectern with a big group of people in front of him, and he's saying, who wants change? And everyone's, yes, we want change. Then, who wants to change? Silence. No response to that. Because we want the world to change, but we're not prepared to change ourselves. I think it was Mahatma Gandhi that said, be the change you want to see in the world. You be the change that you want to see in the world. And really, that's what it comes down to. It's your own responsibility to take care of that. You can't change the world. Maybe we can, a little bit. You can go on some protest march and carry a banner, and maybe that'll have some influence on the... It's not really, is it? We can all stand outside the Russian embassy saying, get your troops out of the Ukraine. Is Mr. Putin going to listen to us? Of course he's not. So, there's very little you can do and to change your environment. And what's the environment? Albert Einstein, he said, the environment is everything that's not you. That's your environment. So how are you going to change that? You can't change that. But you have some power over yourself. Your own thoughts, your own practices, your own decisions that you make. You have some power over that. You can't force anything on anybody. Our Guru Maharaj used to say, by force, you can't even get into another man's pair of shoes. So force isn't the way to do, to change things. But you can change yourself. And when you change yourself, change your direction of your vision from the external to the internal. When you start to examine your own spiritual essence, you'll see that you can change, and by your change, step by step, one candle can light 1,000,000 candles from the power of one candle. So if you can change yourself, you also then become a satellite for change. Others will be influenced by that. Other people will be able to respond to that. And this is like the essence of our spiritual life, is that we hear and we see the spiritual truth and we respond to that. It's a natural thing. It's just like if you're walking past a bakery shop and the smell of the cakes or the bread baking coming out through the window or through the fan coming through there. When you smell that, you think, oh, I'm feeling quite hungry. I think I'll go in and buy one of those buns that I saw in the window or whatever. It's a natural response. So then similarly, when we hear the spiritual truth, something inside us goes, oh, I want that. I recognize that. It's something primal within us. Because we are spiritual by nature, there's something within us which chimes with the spiritual truth. When we hear the truth, when we see the truth, something inside us responds to that. It's a natural thing. And we can say, that is our inner guide. Our inner guide. And our Guru Maharaj would say, your inner guide will never cheat you, will never let you down. That inner voice that helps you to recognize what is the truth. That's actually connecting with our spiritual self. Generally, we can say that our spiritual nature is now sleeping, and we're awake in this material world, the world of our senses and the world of our mental experience and all of these things. But while that's all going on, our soul is asleep. It's not responding to all of that. Our Guru Maharaj said it's like a child. Maybe a child is the inheritor of some estate. They're rich, they've got all these things, but because they're a child, they have some guardians that look after their money, right? Look after their money. And what do? They rob the child. Well, the child doesn't know what's going on. They're living it up, spending all the money they're meant to be looking after for him. So similarly, we're like that. Our soul's like a baby, a child, and those guardians of that, they're our senses, our taste, our touch, our smell, our mind, and they're robbing us of our real wealth. like a bad guardians, you can say, bad guardians. We're all victims of that. As they say, that who takes their mind to be their guru has a fool as a disciple. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. And when the mind is uncontrolled, it's like an enemy to you. What does the mind do? The mind, people think that they're the mind, but they're not the mind. You can stand back and observe your mind. Your mind is involved with accepting and rejecting things. I want that, I don't want that. I want this, I don't want that. And above the mind is the intelligence. The intelligence is like the arbiter of that. The mind says, oh yeah, let's eat that pie. And the intelligence says, no, don't eat that pie. You'll regret it. Later on, you'll regret it. So the mind in one moment saying, yes, I want this. In the next moment, the same thing, no, I don't want that. So we say that, don't we? I changed my mind. Changed my mind. And that shows in itself that we're not the mind. Because we are what is unchangeable. The soul is unchangeable. It's not affected by the things of this world. But as I said before, at the moment it's sleeping. So somehow or another we have to waken our soul. And when someone's soul is awakened, their own self, then very easily they're able to control their mind, and then the mind becomes their best friend. But while we're in that, you can say, dormant spiritual state, our mind's running riot, and we're experiencing the fruit of that, good or bad. That example's been given again, actually it's not in the Gita, but it's Srila Prabhupada's, one of his commentaries in the Gita. I think it's maybe from the Chandogya Upanishad, that it says that the soul and the supersoul means God who lives in the heart of everybody. They're like two birds on a tree. And the soul and the supersoul. The soul is ourselves. And we're trying to taste the fruits of the tree. Means the things of this experience world. And sometimes we try something and it's sweet. Sometimes we try something and it's bitter. And we're just going from one experience to another, one experience to another. And meanwhile, the other bird, the Lord in your heart, is witness to that. But not interfering with your free will. You have free will. Free will means you can do wrong if you want to. Free will doesn't always mean you have to do the right thing. Free will means you can do right or you can do wrong. But everything has a consequence. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So sometimes the fruits are sweet, we're enjoying that. Sometimes those fruits are bitter, and we're suffering from that. Something that happens to us in this material world. And the Lord's witnessing. But he's also waiting that when we're sick of all that, tasting all these different things in this world, when that sense experience, when it becomes stale to us, when it becomes, we understand that it's not giving us any fulfillment, then we turn to him. We turn to our friend, the Lord within the heart. Please help me. Please show me what I should do. I don't know what to do. This is Arjuna's position in the Bhagavad Gita. This is explained in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is called Observing the Armies, it says. But it's also known as the dejection of Arjuna. So then Arjuna, I'm not to go into the whole history of that, but he's a warrior prince, and there's going to be a war. And he's an archer, has in a chariot one of the main warriors that are going to fight in this war. So just before it begins, this is something that took place 5,000 years ago in India. Then just before the battle begins, Arjuna asks Lord Krishna, who is taking the position as his chariot driver, please move the chariot in between the two armies. I want to see who's here to fight, who's come here to fight. So Krishna drives the chariot, and Arjuna sees the opposing army. And in that opposing army, he sees his relatives. It's a fratricidal war, right? They're two families, but basically they're the same family. The sons of Pandu, the sons of Dhritarashtra. The sons of Pandu, the 5 Pandavas. The sons of Dhritarashtra, 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, headed by Duryodhana. So he sees them. They're his cousin brothers there. He sees his grandfather there on their side, the great Bhishma. He sees Drona. Drona's their guru who taught them the martial arts, all of these things. And he becomes overwhelmed when he sees that. Why am I going to go to war with these people? They're the people that I would want to share the kingdom with. But I'm going to go into a war, possibly kill them all, then, I'll win the kingdom. But that kingdom, what will be the meaning of that if those that I love and care for aren't there anymore to enjoy that kingdom with me? Then he says, I don't know what to do. And he turns to Krishna and says, oh, Keshava, I shan't fight. I can't fight. And he drops his bow. And then Krishna says, oh, why has this weakness overcome you? You're speaking like a learned man, but this is actually foolishness, because there's no reason to lament for anybody living or dead. And all of this battle is already preordained. The victors, everything, it's all preordained. You just need to do your duty as a warrior. And that's the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. So it's like us, we're in that position. We come to that position in our life. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what my duty is. I don't know what I'm meant to do in my life. I don't know. Like Arjuna. That's what he's saying. I don't know what to do, Lord. You tell me. He's turning to the Lord. You tell me what's the best thing for me. I don't know. So this is like a turning point, pivotal point in Arjuna's life. But Arjuna represents us when we come to the Lord. With some juncture in our life when we don't know how to go forward. I don't know what's good anymore. I don't know what's bad anymore. I don't know what I should do. And you have to tell me, Krishna. And then Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita. And if we study Bhagavad Gita, we'll find the answers to all of life's questions are there. It's an extraordinary book, an extraordinary conversation. Albert Einstein said, when I read the Bhagavad Gita, everything else seems trivial in comparison to that. And so many great thinkers have turned to the Bhagavad Gita. Because it's for everybody. It's not just for Hindus or for, Indian people or something like that. No, it's for everyone. It comes from India, the Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of Lord Krishna. But that's India's gift to the world. Really, all answers to the problems of life are found in Bhagavad Gita and the teachings of Lord Krishna. And ultimately, Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the last chapter, in the 18th chapter, Sarva dharmam purityajam mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham tam sarva papebhyo moksha ishami ma shucha. Sarva dharman, that means all kinds of dharma, all kinds of ideas of religion, duty, all of these things. everything that I've told you up to now, Arjun, just forget about all that and just surrender to me. If you surrender to me, maybe you're thinking, if you surrender to me and leave your obligations in this world, like sin will come on you for leaving those things behind. But I say to you, don't fear. I'll protect you from that. I'll protect you from that. What our Guru Maharaj said, there's no other scripture in the world where God pleads for himself like in Bhagavad Gita, where he says, I'm the cause of everything. Everything exists in me. Nothing exists in me. I am everything. The whole, a structure of the universe hangs on me like pearls strung on a thread. I am the absolute truth. And if you surrender to me, you will come to me. I will look after you. And Guru Maharaj said, like shamelessly, the Lord's pleading to us. Arjun's our proxy in this conversation. He says, surrender to me. Forget about what you think is your religion or your duty or any of these things. Just surrender to me. I'll protect you. And then the next verse after that, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskaro mami vaishasi satyam te pratijani priyoshime. Manmana bhav, that means give me your mind and your heart. Manmana bhav, your heart. Give me your heart. Give me your the inner part of you. Offer that to me. Be my devotee. Do everything you do as an offering to me, and you must come to me. And I promise you this, Krishna says, because you are priyoshime. Priyoshime means you're dear to me. You're dear to me. And this is also another essential teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Although Krishna is everything, he's God Almighty, he's the cause of everything, but also he's our friend. He's our best friend. So that means he cares for us, for every one of his created beings. He cares. He wants to have a relationship with every one of us. This is inconceivable to us. How you can have a relationship with God and like an exclusive relationship. You and God, it's possible. You can have that. It's not that he's hasn't got time for everybody. He's got his circle and I haven't got time for you. No. Because that's part of his omniscient nature, omnipotent nature. That he is the infinite. And the infinite means he has infinite capacity for the finite. We are the finite beings of this world, but we're a part of him. We are created by him, not just to suffer in this material world. Birth, death, old age, disease, not all these things that we find in this material world. Not just for that. We are created to live a life of love with him. Eternal life of love. That's like our prospect. So although I am, the absolute, supreme absolute truth, I'm friendly to you all. If we understand that the absolute good, the absolute power is our friend, then we have no apprehension in this world. We have nothing to worry about, nothing to fear. And when we're able to embrace that ideal, then we'll be happy. Then really we'll be happy. Happy just means finding your place. Finding rasa. Finding the meaning. Why do I exist? This is Sanatana Goswami's question to Lord Chaitanya. Who am I? And why am I suffering in this world? And Lord Chaitanya replies to him, what's that verse? What's the verse? Come on, help me out, Natai. Jivara Sharupa Hoy, Nityara Krishna Das, Krishnara Tatasta Shakti, Beda Bed Prakash. That means you are the jiva, the soul. You are spiritual. It means that. You are spiritual. You're not this flesh and blood and mind and body. You're the driver inside there. The living being inside there. The difference that between a living body and a dead body. What is that difference? Like, this is natural. That, you love someone. Your partner, your wife, your husband, whatever it is. You love them deeply, with all your heart. But as soon as they die, that means when their spirit leaves the body, you don't even want to be in the same room with that body, do you, anymore? That body that you loved with such fervor. Now the soul's gone, get it out of here. I don't even want to see it, I don't want to touch it. It's horrible now, isn't it? Why is that? Because instinctively we know that body is not that person. The person's left there. That person that I love with all my heart, they've gone. And where they're gone, I don't know. But I know that that's not there. I had that experience. As many of you know, my first wife died. I had to go and identify her body. And when I came there, and I looked on her body, and I said, "Oh no, that's not her." And then I realized, oh, but it is her body. But it's not her. Okay, that's all we need. You identify the body. It's just natural that you know that. So, because you're not that body, you are the jiva, the soul. Jivara Sharupa Hoy. That's your form is spiritual. And what is that form? Jivara Sharupa Hoy, Nityara Krishna Das. You are the eternal servant of Lord Krishna. Krishnara Tatasta Shakti. That means you are by nature Tatasta Jiva. That means Tatasta means marginal. So that means you can adapt to the spiritual world or the material world. You can function in both places. Marginal. It's the examples given in the scripture of what is tatasta or tata, where the ocean meets the shore. It's not exactly ocean, it's not exactly land. It's the margin between the two. So like that, it's given like that. But our Guru Maharaj, he gave a more practical, I think, a more practical explanation. In 1947, India was partitioned. Before that time, there was India, and what's now Pakistan was part of India, and what is now Bangladesh was also part of India. That was East Bengal. West Bengal, which is still part of India, East Bengal became Bangladesh. But so they made a partition between East and West Bengal. And if you lived on the east side, you're now in Bangladesh. That's now Bangladesh. You're a Bangladeshi now. If you live on the west side, you're in West Bengal. You're Indian. But you know what? It was completely arbitrary how they made this partition. So for some people, that line of demarcation, the border between Pakistan and India, went right through their house, the middle of their house. One side of the living room they're in Bangladesh, the other side of the living room they're in India. So, and not just a few, a lot of people had that, happen to them. So for them, they had to have a dual passport. Indian passport, Bangladeshi passport, they can go both sides. So our Guru Maharaj said, that's Tatasta. You can go to India, you can go to Bangladesh equally. You can go either. So you can live in the spiritual reality, you can live in the material world. That's Tatasta Jiva. Jivara Swarupahoy Krishna Nityara Krishna Das Krishnara Tatasta Shakti Beda Bed Prakash. Beda Bed means you are one with God, because you're spiritual by nature, he's also spiritual by nature. You're made of the same stuff, but you're also different from God. Why? Because he's infinite and you're infinitesimal. He's always the master, you're always the servant. That will never change. That's Beda Bed. Beda Bed, one and different. And actually everything is one and different. It's an axiomatic truth, a philosophical truth that you can apply to everything and every situation. One and different. As we are all one, but we're all different. We're one in as much as we occupy this room, we're breathing the same oxygen, we're all, human beings. So in many ways, we're one and the same. But we're all different because we're all individuals. So one and different, Veda, Ved, Prakash. Prakash means like truth. This is the truth. So this is who we are in essence. We are all spiritual beings. But right now, we're looking in the mirror and thinking, that's us. Yeah, I'm looking good today, not looking so good today, whatever it is. We're making a fundamental mistake. So as long as we're identifying with the body, then we think, that's what I'm meant to do with my life, is, find things that will give satisfaction to this body. So that's what everybody's doing. They're looking for comfort and convenience. I want a nice, comfortable life, and I want convenience. I want, all the latest gadgets. I want, Android Play in my car. I want the Apple Play in my car. I want all these things that, I want the big 68-inch television or whatever. That was going to make my enjoyment of the television so much better than that little portable one we used to have. I want the latest car. I want the biggest house. I want the swimming pool. I want a million things and more. So it's not being poor that makes, like financially poor that makes somebody dissatisfied with life. It's the fact that you can't be satisfied with what you have. I want more, I want more, I want more. But if we understand that all those things are coming to us according to our karma, it's already preordained. How much happiness you're going to have in this life and how much suffering you're going to have in this life. It's already written. That's called karma fall. What you've done in previous lives, now the fruit of that's coming to you. Good or bad. Maybe good, maybe bad. It's usually a mixture of both. You can't change it. So our spiritual masters, they advise us, don't waste your time trying to do that. There's nothing you can do to make your karma come about. It's already coming. And there's nothing you can do to prevent it from happening. It's already coming. So don't use your time for that. Use your time for cultivating your spirit, for awakening your inner nature. Then you can break that cycle. The cycle of action and reaction, birth and death, of these like revolving around and around and around. You can break it. There's Swarup Damodar Goswami, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, he wrote in a prayer to Lord Chaitanya, your mercy, your kindness is non-evil producing mercy, non-evil producing kindness. Then when you first read that, you think, isn't that redundant? If it's mercy, if it's kindness, how can it be evil producing? But the explanation is this, that in this world, good and bad are both ultimately bad. Because they bind us to this material world. So you can say in that sense, like some people think, we'll just do punya. Punya means like good works. Just do punya and no pop. which first of all is like a great ideal, but you can't avoid papa, I'm afraid to say. But even if you try, right, and even if you get it right, that you only do good things, what's the upshot of that is you have to be reborn to enjoy the benefits from that good punya, those good activities. You got some reward for that. You're going to be born again in this world. And pop, what you've done, you have to be born again to suffer a reaction for that. So in a sense, both, even good thing, doing good is ultimately bad, because it means you have to come back again and again in this material world. So leave it. Leave both pop and punya, good and bad, of this material world, because it's only a relative thing. Maybe good for me, but maybe bad for you. In fact, it must be bad for you. For someone. Whatever you benefit from in this world, someone else must suffer as a result of that. It's just the way of the world. So the best you can hope for is the greatest good for the greatest number. But that means that there must be some minority that has to suffer to facilitate that. It's not very equitable in this world. So leave both of those things and try to follow the path of dedication. Instead of exploiting the things and the people of this world, for your benefit. Or those who are maybe a little more savvy, they realize that everything I do in this world is reactionary and it's going to bring some good, bad result, whatever it is, but that's like binding me to the world. So then they think, let me disconnect from that altogether and do nothing. I won't interact with the world anymore. That's called tyag, or renunciation. Let me renounce the world. I'll go and live in a cave and just say Om all day. Sit in the cave and I won't do anything. Like in India, there's the Jains, right? The followers of Mahavir, the Jains. The Jain monks, they won't eat anything unless it falls from the tree. They won't pluck an apple from the tree because they consider that an act of violence. But if the apple drops, it's from the tree. The apple drops. Oh, that's the gift of the tree. We'll take that. But that's also a miscalculation, because to who does the tree belong? It belongs to Krishna. He's the proprietor. They're forgetting that. So this idea, right? This is tyag. Renounce the world. Don't get involved with the world, then no reaction will come to you. But we live in a whole. We live as part of an organic whole. No man is an island, as they say. We're all part of everything. We're all interrelated. You can't artificially give that up. And especially in this day and age, if you find a cave to live in, before you know it, hello, can I see the papers for this cave? Can I see your deed that allows you to stay here? Have you paid tax for this cave? Then you're getting water from the stream to live. Have you paid the water rates? That you can't avoid it as much as you want to. You can't really avoid being part of this world. So, but Guru Maharaj not Guru Maharaj alone, but our Vaishnava Acharyas, they have told us that both these things are just the opposite sides of the same coin. Enjoyment, renunciation, bhoga, tyag, in Sanskrit. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, mukti bhukti pisachya. Mukti means, the renunciation. Bhukti means enjoyment by exploitation. Pisachya means a witch or a ghost or like a demon. These malevolent spirits of enjoyment, by exploitation and renunciation, as long as they live in your heart, then Krishna won't come to live in your heart. So you have to oust that and replace that with bhakti, devotion. Devotion is the middle path. Not by exploitation, not by renunciation, but by dedication. So that means you have to change your vision of the world. Now we're thinking that everything in the world that we come across is for me. Either it's going to help me or it's going to hinder me. So based on that, we'll accept it or we'll reject it. But the devotee of the Lord, he sees, no, it's not for me, it's for him. Then everything in this material world and everyone in this material world is for the service of my Lord. They're the ingredients for the service of my Lord. Then your mindset changes. Not for me. And not for me means I don't have the right to reject that either. Whatever comes to me, I must utilize that in the service of my Lord. Then your life will become perfect, and you will awaken to your spiritual nature. Because your spiritual nature, after all, we just heard, Krishnara Nityadas, the eternal servant of Krishna. Krishna means God, but God in his the fullest aspect and most intimate aspect. We should try to utilize everything that comes to us in Krishna's service. What I have in my hand today, I can use that for Krishna's service. It is a simple proposition. But we're always thinking, yes, this much for Krishna and this much for me. But that won't do, actually. Everything must be for him. And whatever he leaves us, we take that as his prasadam. And this way, your life becomes perfectly spiritual. Because even, whatever we do, everyone has to eat, everyone has to, live somewhere, everyone has to, make their way in this world. But if Krishna is in the center of that, then everything becomes purposeful or spiritualized. Everything. Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, he used to say, if you have a check, and maybe not all of you remember what a check is, but before plastic cards and everything, we used to pay things by check. I promise to pay the bearer the sum of, and you write in the amount here, right? So if you have a check with hundreds or thousands of zeros on it, and you take it to the bank, what will they give you for it? 0. But Prabhupada used to say, but in front of all those zeros, if you just put 1, then how immensely valuable does that check become? So similarly, everything in this material world ultimately comes to 0. But as soon as you put Krishna in the center, in the forefront, everything in this world becomes inestimably valuable. Just by adding Krishna into the equation. That's what we try to do. That's what we're trying to do. Put Krishna first and foremost, Krishna in the center, and try to do everything as an offering to him. Then it will be successful. It's a simple thing. We need to change our outlook a little bit. Just a little bit. Try to give a little more of yourself to Lord Krishna. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be 100% sold to Lord Krishna. You can be 1% sold to Lord Krishna. But tomorrow, try to be 2% sold to Krishna. And the next day, 3%, and so on and so on. Then, in a year, you'll be 365% servant of Krishna. If you just adopt that equation. Try every day to come a little closer to Krishna. And it's told in the scripture, like for every step you make towards him, he'll come 100 to you. Because that's what he wants. He wants you. Our Guru Maharaj used to say, Krishna is a consumer of hearts. He wants the heart of his devotees. He is Lord Hari. And Lord Hari means he takes away all of the material things that his devotees have that are piling up on top of them and, obscuring their vision of Lord Krishna. Our Gurudev would say, we have a Himalayan mountain range of ego that separates us from Lord Krishna. If we can do away with that, we'll see the smiling face of Krishna before us. Easy to say, but not so easy to do. After all, ego means identity. So we all have some ego, some identity, who we think we are. But Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev, he's given what should be our ego. That is, Naham Vipro Narapatir Napi Vaisho Nashudra Naham Vani Nachagriha Navanastir Chatirva Kintu Prajan Nikila Purnamritam Gopi Bharta Padakamalayur Das Anudas. So that means I'm not a Brahmin, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya or a Shudra, and I'm not a brahmachari or a grihasta or a sannyasi or a vanaprastha. Then what am I? Simply I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the ever-expanding ocean of joy, the master of the gopis, Lord Krishna. This is what the ego that we should be aspiring for. You can't not have an ego unless you don't exist. Ego means your identity, but don't identify with this mean flesh, blood, mind, all these material things. Don't identify with that. Identify with reality, the beautiful. I am his servant, Krishna's servant. Let me, and not just Krishna's servant, because Mahaprabhu says, Das Anudas. It's not hyperbole or just some poetic expression. It's the essential understanding that I am the servant of the servant of the servant of Lord Krishna. However many times removed. Just some slight connection is enough for us. Because we can't have Krishna directly. All of those places are already gone. You can't be Nanda Maharaj or Mother Jashoda or Radharani or Subal or, those places are there eternally. But maybe you can be a servant of their servant. And Krishna himself says, those who say they're my devotee, I don't necessarily accept that as true. But those who are the devotee of my devotee, those I count as my true devotees. That's because Krishna wants to give something to his devotee. But the devotee will always say, no. You are the master, I am the servant. And they won't even give a little space for Krishna to give something to them, some service to them. So, but they do allow us fallen souls to render some service to them because they're offering that service to Krishna. But somehow, what Krishna can't do, we get to do. And then Krishna's more happy. Then, that's the secret. To get the grace of Lord Krishna, try to serve his devotee, try to satisfy his devotee. Then Krishna's desire is fulfilled. And this way, you have a substantial part to play in satisfying Lord Krishna. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful opportunity that we have to serve the devotees of Krishna. And better than serving the devotee of Krishna, to serve the devotee's devotee of Krishna. And so on, and so on, and so on. Just a little, whatever the slight opportunity to serve Krishna's devotee. Krishna will see that and Krishna will bless you. And before you know it, you will be 365% servitor of Lord Krishna and his devotees. And that, although our friends have gone now, that will be
They were happy.
happiness.
They were happy.
Okay, good. Okay.
And they got prasada today.
Very good, very good. So, is it Arti now?
Yes.
All right. Jam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Vaishnav Sevang Hari Vrinda Ki Jai. Rupanu Guru Bhagya Ki Jai. Kol Kartel Ki Jai. Sri Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Jai Go.
Hare Krishna. Govinda, Govinda.
How are you, Prabhu?
Good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, seeing you after a long time.
Yeah. Happy to see you.
Are you going to leave the altar?
Huh?
Are you going to leave the altar?
No, you can leave. Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Still writing the same thing? Or? Changed.
I pray you have $1 million now. I don't
Jai Sundar Dev
Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Jai
Disappearance of Srila Vrindavan started ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan
Trying to kill me. But it's good. Because I can't concentrate when I get too much. It's way too much. Anyway. No one else can follow me. It's okay. You know what happened to the other Madanga? No, it's good. Don't worry. It didn't break anything. Well, it sounds way better. Because my house is like that. So I live by the coast, don't I? So it's more humid. It just sounds like normal. It sounds like this. How it's supposed to. That's good. But it's good because it gives me a chance to properly get in.
Problem is that here is next to the radiator.
It's always there. If they kept it in that room, every time I keep it there, you know what happens? Someone moves it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? advert.
I know that brings
What's it called? Something bright.
Eventbrite.
What's it called? Eventbrite.
Eventbrite, yeah. But I have to see how it's advertised.
They came today. You know what saved it? Oh, Madhusudan Maharaj. Because even though he spoke a lot, they're coming in for meditation, mantra meditation. But because he's a genuine sadhu, it doesn't matter. Understand? So just someone just waffling. He lives that every day. You can see it, like this man's free. It's like he's not plugged in at all. You need what he's got. I can feel it.
Such a beautiful kirtan. I'm taking dust from your lotus feet. So beautiful, so sweet, so merciful.
Hold on.
I'm joking, I didn't even hear it.
It's actually quite bad.
I didn't even hear it, Prabhu, realized. It's just something I have to say. To keep you up, to keep you going, Prabhu.
Yeah.
If I don't say it, who will?
So we met these people last week in Srila.
Yeah,
It was so nice.